something I've been wondering for quite a while, and it's about West Ham, and I think in particular David Moyes understanding the value of what makes something attractive to another person. I'm not talking about the birds and the bees here. What I'm saying is, let me give you a little example before I start. All throughout the season, you got the impression that Declan Rice was becoming more and more frustrated. That actually we started the season really well. We were in Europe, we got out of the group, and we not only were doing that, we were still in and around battling it out with the top four. Now, I understand David Moyes had a reluctance to spend money when he's only got a finite budget. However, we've discussed on this channel many times the messaging and something that it sends out. So we had a really good opportunity to go for a lot of things, to hit the heights, to get Champions League football for the next season, to really go for it. And the longer it went on and the more inactive we became and the longer the transfer went on, the transfer window, we as fans were frustrated. But I always looked at Declan Rice and thought, this is the wrong messaging to him. If what you want him to do is sign a long-term contract, or any sort of contract really, show him your ambition, not with words, not with wages, not with a contract, but by bringing players in. Again, I just didn't feel that we understood what was attractive to Declan Rice. Now, I've spoken about that, too many times to bang on about that for any length of time, but I do think it's a feature of everything we do. And this is going to play out in a link and with a story that I've seen today against Mandalorian Broja and our attempts to get him, because I'm not sure that we understand, once again, what is attractive to the player and what is attractive to the club, in this instance, Chelsea. Let me give you another little example, if I may, first of all. So in the transfer window, as I understand it, we wanted Raphinha. Now, I'll deal with him again in this little roundup, because there seems to be an opportunity. We might have a second bite of the cherry, so to speak, a second chance to go and get him. Now, whilst we were happy to bid for him, and we knew we wanted him, and David Moyes had highlighted him as a player that would be useful to us as a team, what again we didn't recognise was what would be attractive to Leeds United. So this goes back to it again. It's not just a case. It's like Declan. It's not just a case of offering him a contract. Show him something that gets him invested in what you're doing. Give him a reason to do it beyond the money. And this is the thing with Leeds. We showed little or no understanding that they were in a relegation scrap. So yes, you can bid the money, you can show interest in the player. I even think that, let's be perfectly honest with you, we were still in European football. There was a chance that perhaps Raphinha might have been interested in playing at West Ham, to play in the latter rounds of the Europa League. Knockout stage, would have played in the semi-final. Great. But what's attractive to Leeds? Well, that wasn't attractive at all. They were in a relegation scrap. We weren't giving them any reason at all to be incentivised by what we were offered. There just wasn't there. There was no reason for them to do it. Again, we didn't know what was attractive to them. I don't know what we could have done. I don't know, maybe Vlasic probably wouldn't have been that attractive, or Ben Rama or something like that. Something that just said, look, we understand that you're in a we would like to take your player. We understand you're in a transfer scrap. We understand he's really creative and does a lot. He scores a lot of goals for you, so on and so forth. Here's how we can sort of mitigate that for you. There's just a lack of understanding that wasn't there, and I felt that was present in in the situation that happened with Declan Rice as well. I also think you got the same with the Nunez deal, which was, again, it was very late. It wasn't last day, but it was the last week. We didn't. When you're dealing with that, make it attractive to Benfica. Benfica were, again, they're in the latter stages of the Champions League, a better competition than West Ham are in. They're in a better, basically, in terms of status, they have a higher status than West Ham Benfica. I think it's fair to say that. So make it attractive. You have to then meet their valuation. They've already admitted they'd sell him, but they had a valuation. We didn't meet it. So again, we didn't sort of understand what we had to do to make the transfer appealing, to facilitate it and to make it go through. And I'll tell you why I've mentioned all this, because I'm frustrated today to read another story that is about Broja, and it's basically that Nottingham Forest are apparently interested in the player. Now, you can understand that. Now, Nottingham Forest don't have the money to buy him, and they would be interested in a loan deal. Now, straight away, let me tell you now, straight away, I know I can understand why that is attractive for Nottingham Forest, and I can understand why it's attractive for Chelsea. If we assume that Thomas Tuchel doesn't want to feature Broja in his first team plans at the moment. There's a whole Lukaku situation going on, which is slightly different. But let's just assume that Tuchel doesn't have Broja in his first team plans for this upcoming season. I can understand why it's attractive to both parties. However, and it's running on it's running on a few apps and a few websites at the moment that actually we're there waiting in the wings with a £25 million offer. Just almost like not just in case. I think that's probably paraphrasing it too far. But I look at it and think, well, that's not attractive at all, because I don't think the 25 million's probably enough to entice Chelsea to sell him. It may be. I may have that wrong. They accepted £25 million for Zuma. Maybe I've got that wrong. But here's the thing, and it goes back to this old Tomori story when we tried to get him from Chelsea. We need to make it attractive to Chelsea. We need to make it attractive to the player. I'm pretty sure if Tuchel wants some funds, we don't know how much the new owners are going to inject into Chelsea, but they've got to spend an awful lot on defenders. Maybe some additional funds might be of use. So I understand how we can make that attractive to Chelsea. What about the player? Because what Nottingham Forest will be saying is, come to us on loan. You're playing as our striker every game. You're the main man, you're the main guy. And that's pretty much, not exactly, but pretty much what he had at Southampton. Look at the messaging, if you will, from West Ham, which is, okay, you come, but you're second fiddle, and we'll buy you, but it's only for this much. I'll tell you what, I'd be amazed if we got this deal over the line. Because, again, we're not making it attractive. We don't understand what's attractive to the third parties, to the other people involved in this. And I think it's a massive shame. And the reason I speak about Tomori is because Tomori he was wonderful in Italy this season, as was Tammy Abraham, by the way. I've got no problem with the Tammy Abraham one. I just think we got outbid. Roma bid 30 million. We didn't have 30 million. Fine. I mean, you know what? It's a shame, and I think we probably could have done with him. I think he would have done rather well with us. But I can understand. The Tomori one, he'd agreed to come. If you remember this story, he had agreed. Now, it was on a loan with an option to buy. All he wanted to do was, before he signed, he wanted a phone call with David Moyes. And he wanted the phone call with David Moyes just to say, how much will I feature for you? Can I get some guarantees that I will be playing first team football? This you could understand. He's playing at Chelsea. His whole frustration is that he's not playing there as a regular first team player. He'd had a little taste, hadn't he, of international football. Southgate had used him. And that's what he wanted. He just wanted somebody to say, yeah, you're a big part of my plans here, and anything. Basically, the value of schmoozing. David Moyes needed to schmooze up to him at that point. And he didn't do it. He said, nope, sorry, I'm not going to guarantee you anything. He didn't sign. The rest is history. The thing is, we couldn't sign Tomori now. He's too good. He's too good for West Ham. He would cost too much money. All because what we didn't do at the time, and it comes back to this, is make it attractive enough for him. The hard work was done. The finances were done. The deal was done. It was 50 grand a week. I remember saying at the time he was like, whatever it was, 50 grand a week. I think something like that anyway. And it doesn't look particularly excessive now, does it? But I remember there were a few people thinking so at the time. Maybe I was one of them. I don't know. But he just didn't do what he needed to do. And you just keep going back through everything. You think, why can't you do this? Why can't we make it attractive? Why don't we understand the value? And I don't mean a monetary value. The value of selling ourselves, selling the concept of West Ham, and selling the reason why a certain player should join West Ham. Why are we no good at this? Selling the concept why a club should sell them. I just think we're crap at it. And it goes back to, it's almost like this, almost like a bread and butter version of it, of not understanding all the little nuances and maybe the understanding of how the human mind works more than, I'm sure there's a full understanding of how everything works on a football pitch, but actually to encourage people and to make people feel motivated and to make people feel excited. David Moyes talks about his project, and I know he's excited, I know he's enthusiastic about his project, but I don't think he sells his project particularly well. If that's the case, maybe in the case of Declan Rice, it's different, it's too slow. I mentioned it before, but you can only talk about the project so many times. It's all right, David Moyes saying, I'm going to take West Ham to the top, we're going to be in Europe every season. But the messaging should have been, at the last transfer window, that actually we're here now, we're here early. I didn't expect this for 3 seasons, we're here early. So actually, actions speak louder than words. At that point, bang, there you go, there's a 30, 40 million pound player to help us get over. I don't really care what position it's in. I mean, we know we need a striker. But we needed one the season before, and actually Lingard came in and he gave us the push. It's just somebody coming in. And I look at that and I think, come on, just pull your finger out. I may be wrong, I may be worrying about nothing. I may be worrying about absolutely nothing. But when I see a story come out that says Nottingham Forest are interested, it's almost... do you ever go on eBay? Of course you go on eBay. Sometimes you message someone on eBay and there's an auction. You say, look, do you want to sell this early or whatever? And they say no. And say, okay, look, get back. If your auction mucks up, get back to us and I'll take it. And I almost wonder if that's what we're doing here. And this is what the message we're sending out to Chelsea, which is basically, okay, well, you know what, we might have him. But here's our price. It's 25 million. And by saying that, we're not going to push the boat out. We're not ultra keen on this player, but we'll have him. Almost if we must, we'll have him. So what's Broja think of this? I think, they don't really fancy me. And here's the thing, if you were looking at West Ham as evidence, if you were a player coming in, you would look at it and think, I'm not sure if I sign for that team, I'm going to play. You might do. You might look at Bowen, you might look at Souček, you might look at Soufal, and you think, actually, I'll play. But you might look at Areola, you might look at Krell, you might look at Vlasic, you might look at Ben Rama, and you might think, actually, there's no guarantee I'm going to play in this team. And when that happens, it's then up to the manager to start his schmoozing, to explain, to say, no, you are. That didn't work out with those, whatever he's got to say. You're my number one guy. I want you involved. I think you can terrorise defences. I think you can be a really, really important part of this team. The messaging at the moment, unfortunately, is we sort of only want you up to about £25 million worth. And if you do come in, you're going to be playing second fiddle to Mikel Antonio, who, by the way, I don't sub even if he's absolutely knackered. As an incentive, as a means to making a deal tempting, it doesn't really sound very tempting, does it?